This is the Strat-O-Matic Baseball Excel 1970-73 Carryover League. Brought to you by the Shrimp Trawler YouTube channel.
Welcome back, baseball fans, to the Summer 70-73 Carryover League, Game 500 of the season in the postseason tournament. Last match of first and second place teams brings us to the American League East in what is a best-of-7 situation. Let's go take a look at why that is. When you look at this tournament, Baltimore played Boston. They had home field in the regular season. Now the Red Sox do, which means the series opens in Fenway. Baltimore won that one 4-3, so they're +1 in the tiebreaker. They find themselves a half game back of the Red Sox, so it's a best-of-7, because if the Orioles win 4-3, they'd have a half a game lead, but they'd also have the tiebreaker. And if Boston wins 4-3, they'd be a game and a half ahead of the Orioles, so the tiebreaker wouldn't even matter. So they need to win. It's a simple best-of-7, and that's the way it should be. So what's transpired with the series that opened up in Fenway Park? Game 1, it is Mike Cuellar against the Spaceman, Bill Lee. And early on, the Orioles are looking scary. A single by Grich, a hit-and-run single by Dave Johnson, a double by Boog Powell, who of course had a horrible slumping season, a double by Kurt Motton, and then Paul Blair, 2-run homer. 5 straight hits, 5 straight runs off the Spaceman, and it could have been worse because after that, Reggie Smith makes a 2-base error, then there's a walk, but then the Spaceman gets an out, a single and an out to end the inning. So he minimizes the bleeding of those 5 runs. And then the Spaceman actually settles down. He gives up a run in the 6th on a hit-and-run single. So he gives up 6 runs in the game. But the Red Sox pluck away, as we know them to do. Bottom of the 1st off of Cuellar, RBI double. Bottom of the 4th, RBI singles by Kennedy and Yaz. Solo homer by Canigliaro in the 5th. And we have an RBI single and an error on Boog Powell to tie the game at 6 apiece. So the Red Sox did not flinch, going down 5 runs after 5 batters. Oh, by the way, in the 7th inning, the Orioles get a homer by Blair, second of the game for Paul Blair. Doesn't matter, because in the bottom of the inning, some guy named Carl Yastrzemski, the 1970 American League Most Valuable Player, no! Huh. He did not get the award. No, they didn't give it to him. They did not give Yaz. Well, I got the cards right here, so I'll just say them. Boog Powell hit 297. Carl Yastrzemski hit 329. Boog Powell, 35 home runs. Yastrzemski, 40. Where else do I need to go with this? Yastrzemski walked 128 times. Yastrzemski was a 1 with a -3 arm in the outfield, plus a 2 at first base. Oh, and he was an ace stealer. So, you screwed up, Major League Baseball. That was a monster season for Yaz. I know the Orioles won the World Series, but I think the Orioles were a talented team anyway. So, I would have given it to Yaz. And you don't think Yaz was ticked off? He didn't go to the All-Star game either. That was an oversight. But yeah, 9-7 comeback after being down 5-zip. That is playoff baseball right there, folks. We know who the playoff caliber team is. It's up there in Massachusetts. So what happens in Game 2? Can the Orioles even the series? Game number 2, it'll be Dave McNally versus Louis Tiant. Another quick start for the Orioles. An error, and this was the story of this game, an error by second baseman Mike Andrews after a couple outs. Paul Blair again, trying to carry this team on his back. A 3-run homer. He's got 3 home runs now for him since nobody else in this team can hit. But again, a 3-0 is nothing for the Red Sox. It was 4-0. They eventually tie this up. Where is it? No, actually, it's 4-3. But interesting in here, they got this 4th run. It was a couple walks. An error by Petrocelli led to a run. In the 5th inning, an error by Petrocelli didn't lead to a run. An error by Petrocelli in the 7th did not lead to the run. 3 errors by Rico Petrocelli in 4 innings. The Orioles win this game 6-3. All I can say. It was a kind of a crappy game, but Baltimore got enough breaks and they got the win. Grant Jackson came on in the 9th. He was their all-star and is probably the best player on the Orioles. So the Orioles do get a split. And you think, okay, they're going to come home to Baltimore and turn it on, right? Game 3, Sonny Siebert versus Jim Palmer, the all-star. 2-run double by Kurt Blefary, having a nice year as a reserve player. But in the 4th, solo homer Tommy Harper, 2-run homer Petrocelli, it's 3-2. RBI single ties it by Roy Foster. In the 6th inning, however, it is Carlton Fisk with a 2-run home run. The Orioles cut it to a run, but again in the 8th inning, the Red Sox just keep putting up runs. 7-4, Boston wins game number 3. Sonny Siebert, Gary Wagner gets a save. Jim Palmer, this is his first game of the year. So it'll be pivotal game 4 in Baltimore with the number 4 starters. Marty Patton for Boston. Milt Pappas swapped into that role as Pat Dobson was swapped out. Pappas pitched for the Orioles in the 60s. Believe he was part of the Frank Robinson trade. Whoops. Frank Robinson is no longer with the Orioles. He was traded to Cleveland. Whoops. Oh boy. Okay, so interesting thing about this game, Yastrzemski walks in the 1st, he steals a base. He singles in the 3rd, he steals a base. Yastrzemski in the 5th, trying to rub it in on the Orioles, singles, steals a base. 3 stolen bases off of the normally reliable Johnny Oates with a -1 arm. But apparently all that throwing back to first base distracted Milt Pappas because Fisk hits a 2-run homer with Yaz at second base. They add a 2-run single by Andrews in the 7th. 4 singles in the 8th. Meanwhile, Marty Patton is untouched. And Boog Powell's 0 for again. And Al Bunbury, the rookie of the year of 1973, is not doing much either. Gets a little sloppy in the 9th, but the Red Sox win game 4, 6-2. One team has showed up in the series. Could have been a 4-game sweep. The Red Sox gifted the Orioles in game 2. The Red Sox seem to be the better roster. When they get the mind up to hitting, they can knock this Oriole pitching staff around. The names are familiar. Cuellar, Palmer, McNally. Those 3 guys won a World Series against the Cincinnati Reds a couple years ago. Problem is, the cards they're using are not as good as the cards they had a couple years ago, and Boston is teeing off on them. So, we have a Game 5 in Baltimore. The Orioles need to win all 3. This one and 6 and 7 in Fenway. And when we look at the overall standings, which is even more shocking, with the Red Sox now 2.5 ahead. There they are, 18 and 13, Baltimore 17 and 17. But look here, folks. Your Toronto Blue Jays, who did not exist until 1977, they're tied with the Orioles presently. And the Blue Jays have to play the last place Yankees. Wouldn't that be wild, folks, if the Blue Jays end up in second place at the end of this round of the playoff, of the postseason? Unbelievable. The Blue Jays are led by former Orioles Doyle Alexander, Tom Phoebus, and Terry Crowley. Yeah, and they're doing just as good as the real Orioles are. Oh boy, folks, not looking good. Pessimism surrounds this Orioles squad in Game 5. We are back to the guys who started in Game 1. That is Bill Lee for the Sox and Mike Cuellar for the Orioles. It's survive or be in huge trouble. The Orioles, if they don't win this game, they'll be a game under 500 in the second round of the tournament. Leading off for Boston, of course, it'll be Yastrzemski. 2-6 is a base hit. Does he try another stolen base? Oh, he's got Etchebarren with a -2 arm. House money. He's going to try a steal, and he's going to be out this time in the 19. Well, kind of thought that was going to happen, folks. Got to keep trying it until they get you. Tommy Harper, 46, bouncer to second base. This is Davey Johnson, a 2-8, and he makes the play. Reggie Smith, 2-5, triple, 1-8, double is a 2-base hit. Runner at second, 2 outs for Tony Conigliaro, who walks on 3-9. And with 2 outs, it's Rico Petrocelli, 3-5. Let's take a look at the card, folks. 1970 Petrocelli, a little step down from 69 Petrocelli. But for a step down, I'll take a third baseman shortstop who can hit 29 home runs and a .261 average. And that 3-run homer. And the Red Sox get 3 runs in the first inning. Carlton Fisk, 56, bounce to short. And Grich makes the play. Well, another shady start for Cuellar. And Boston had no trouble whatsoever in Fenway coming back from 5 and 3-0 deficits. Now, in Baltimore, can the Orioles do something similar? Bobby Grich will lead it off. 4-4, bounces to third. Kennedy, a 2E37. That's going to be an error. Davey Johnson did a hit and run in this situation in Fenway against Bill Lee, so we'll do the same thing. And he gets the same result, a 5, so a single ... So another slow start for the spaceman. And it's Paul Blair batting third. 2-3, skies to right B question mark. Grich is the runner. A 14, 15, 16. Conigliaro -2 arm, he's going to run. And he is gunned down at the plate by Tony Conigliaro. Oh well. Runner at first, 2 outs for Kurt Martin. And he pops to first. Whoops. Top of the second, John Kennedy. 2-7 is a base hit. Jerry Moses, 4-10, center X. This is Blair, 1E5. Probably will end up being the Oriole most valuable player because of the other, well, most valuable position player. The MVP is probably the Jim Palmer or Grant Jackson, so they were all-stars. But the rest of this Oriole offense has been dismal, to be kind. Doug Griffin, 2-7 is a K. And with 2 outs. Yastrzemski, 1-10, another Yastrzemski single. Single to center field. Kennedy will not try and go coast to coast with 2 outs. It'll be Tommy Harper. 47 off of Cuellar is a K. Bottom of 2. Boog Powell leads off. 37. That's a ball 4. Don Buford, 54, pops to short. Brooks Robinson, 2-4 is a 6-4-3 double play. Oh boy. Top of the third. Reggie Smith, 2-10, single 1-19 is a base hit. Tony Conigliaro, 59, off the Cuellar card. Homer 1-2, doubles a double. Smith will not, actually he has to. 1-14, a score from first on a double. And he slides in on a 13. It's 4-0 Boston. Petrocelli homered earlier, 1-6 is a walk. Again, Mike Cuellar getting lit up like a Christmas tree. Carlton Fisk, 6-11, first X. Boog Powell, bad year. Offensively, can he play well? Defensively, as a 2E12, the answer is no, an error. This is a folding up like a cheap card table Baltimore Oriole team. They've clearly missed the leadership of Frank Robinson. They are getting wiped out by the Boston Red Sox. John Kennedy, 59, again off the Cuellar card. Add insult to injury, doesn't have power, would have been a homer. Merely a 2-run single, and so far it's 6-0. Cuellar doesn't have anybody out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Either 2 hits or 2 walks, and this guy will be broken. Jerry Moses playing back, trying to get a double play. 5-10. He doesn't have power either. That would have been another homer off of Cuellar. It is 7-0. Doug Griffin, ball 4. He's broken. Yastrzemski, bases loaded, nobody out. 1-7, let's take a look at Yaz's card, folks. We are rewriting baseball history. There's no such thing as the early 70s Orioles. They suck. And Boston Red Sox are just killing them, folks. 1-7, double 1-11 is a 2-run double. There is nobody out, and it is 9-0. And Cuellar has had a horrendous year. He'll pitch to Tommy Harper just so that I can put the next pitcher's stats in the next inning box. Second and third for Tommy Harper, who strikes out. That's good enough. Just a debacle. A disaster. And the Orioles and the Pirates, the teams that met in the 1971 World Series, will soon find themselves with losing records, which opens up a really interesting World Series field in both leagues. So we'll try and get through this quickly, folks. Jim Harden will come on in the third. He's the long reliever. It'll be second and third with 1 out for Reggie Smith. 66 is a sac fly. There's now 2 outs. Yaz is at second for Canigliaro, who singles to center, and Yaz is going to try and score to add insult to injury off of Paul Blair. But Blair throws him out the plate. Like I said, Paul Blair has been the only good spot for the Oriole offense and defense at this point. 10-0. Roy Foster and the Orioles. 47 pops to third. Etchebarren, 37 single. Bobby Grich, 38 K. And Davy Johnson, K. Fourth inning. Petrocelli, 57 K. Fisk, 2-9 short. Kennedy, 37 K. Bottom of the fourth. Paul Blair, 63. First X. Yaz a 2E16 at first base. Oh, they get an error off of him. He's being held on for Kurt Motton. 1-8 is a K. Boog Powell, 5-10, catcher's card. Fisk is a 1E16. It's a high E rating. Doesn't matter, it's a foul out. And with 2 outs, Buford. 2-6, base hit. 2 on, 2 outs for Brooks Robinson, and he rounds to short. Well, Boston and Oakland would be a really cool league championship series, folks. Jerry Moses, 1-7's a K. As they are clearly the top 2 teams, Doug Griffin Ks. Because Detroit faltered, Yaz skies it in a right. Foster's a 4E10. That's a triple. And Cleveland is playing well. I just don't think Cleveland has enough stuff to compete with the Red Sox and A's. The Twins are nice, but they're only a game over 500. Bill Lee, 36 to Roy Foster is a K. Etchebarren grounds a short. Bobby Grich will single. Davy Johnson will bounce to short. This is Petrocelli, a 3-24. Innings over. 10-zip. We go to 10-zip. We go to the 6th. Harden will pitch his, 30 inning of relief here. Reggie Smith, 68, lines a short. Canigliaro, 39, skies the center. He'll leave the game for some defense. Larry Stahl comes in. And Petrocelli, 2-6, grounds to third. Also, Doug Griffin is already playing second. There's no more defense to bring in. Okay. Bill Lee will give you 6. Well, he's on a shutout. I'll keep pitching until it gives up a run, I guess. Paul Blair flies left. Motton, K's. And Boog Powell, 47, other K. We go to the 7th. Like Jim Harden's, well, hasn't done a bad job, really. 3 2/3. Yeah. 3 2/3. Bill Wilson will pitch the 7th for the Orioles, who are in deep trouble. Fisk in the 7th, 32, rounds a short. John Kennedy, 38 Ks. And Jerry Moses, 1-3, pops third. Stretch time in Baltimore. If there's somebody still in the stadium, please turn out the lights. We are listening to Crack the Sky live at the Warner Theater. Recorded sometime in the mid-70s. Crack the Sky was a band played heavily on the radio in Maryland in the 1970s, so they become the go-to band for Oriole games in Baltimore. So, if they could somehow excite the Oriole team to scoring 10 runs in the last 3 frames. That'd be pretty darn cool, but Bill Lee will have a lot to say about that. It'll be Don Buford leading off in the bottom of the 7th. 67's a base hit. Brooks Robinson, 45 center. Roy Foster, 512 center. And Echebarren rolls to the pitcher, Bill Lee, with a sly grin on his face. He started this series in game 1, 5 batters, 5 runs. Bill Lee didn't flinch, only gave up 1 run in the next 5 innings, and that was key as the Red Sox came back 9-7. And yeah, and so he's glad to get 7 shutout innings here. All right, Doug Griffin in the 8th, 4-11. This guy's to the left. Buford's a 3-4, makes the catch. Yaz, he is perfect today. He needs a homer to hit for the cycle. 69, this guy's the center. Oh boy, there'll be some new voting for the MVP. 3/8 a K for Tommy Harper. Bottom of the 8th, I think, now he's throwing a shot. I gotta leave him in there. Bobby Grich, center. Trying to get Bill Lee out of this game, but he's not obliging. Paul Blair, bouncer to third. This is the 2E30. That's going to be an error. And Motton, 57, is a bouncer to second. This is Griffin as a 1E19 second baseman. Whoops. And he makes the play. We go to the 9th. A little droppage of the mouse. Always hate dropping the mouse when I'm playing a game, but there you go. 2 innings for Bill Wilson. We'll go to Dick Hall. Wow. A blowout. Baltimore-Boston, this was supposed to be one of the best matchups. One of the absolute best matchups in the first round of the postseason tournament. It has turned into crap. Dick Hall in the 9th against Reggie Smith. 1-9, grounds to third. Larry Stahl in for Canigliaro, bounces to first. And Rico Petrocelli. 110, sky's left. And here comes Bill Lee in the 9th, wanting a CG. Boog Pal, the Boogs are not, I don't know if that's Boog or Boo, because he's having a horrible year. We'll look at his stats at the at the end of this. 36, he gets a walk. Well, he needs to do that. Buford. Bouncer to second. This is Doug Griffin, the 1 defensive second baseman. Double play, and Brooks Robinson base hit. Good for Brooks. Roy Foster rounds to short, and there it is. Complete game shutout for the spaceman. And Baltimore fans let their hometown team. Looks like it's over, folks. That little run the Orioles had in 69 through 71. This is a dud of a team. So Dick Hall had a nice inning. Bill Wilson struck out a couple guys. And Jim Harden did well, really. Hit 2 Ks, 2 hits, 4 Ks, 2 hits, 4 Ks. It was Cuellar who stunk up the joint. 10 hits and 10 runs. Any errors in here to help him out? Oh, he gets a break here. Gets a break there with an error. So that'll minimize some of the earned runs. Looks like a total of 8 of those are earned. 7 of those are earned. 3 walks and 3 strikeouts. Bill Lee's CGSO, a commanding 6-hit shutout, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts, and a complete game. 1-009, 0109, 10-12, 06, 39, 26, 26, 39. Oh my goodness, folks. We mentioned at the All-Star break and at the All-Star game that the American League is weaker than the National League. However, if you get just a couple good teams like the Red Sox and Oakland A's playing well, it could still be a good World Series. Of course, the National League has a bunch of candidates to go, including, of course, the Mets and the Reds, even the Dodgers, and even the Giants, perhaps. Oh, there it is. What a horrible series. So let's start with Boston. They're 19-13, hitting .275. Their team ERA is dropping. It's down to .425. Bill Lee, by the way, that is now 2-1. Has a lot of no decisions. His ERA actually is around 4.5, so it was good for him to get that shutout. Yastrzemski did not go to the All-Star game. On the year now, he's hitting 298, but he's been red hot, so he was hitting around 270 prior to the break, and that's one of the reasons he was snubbed, because he's got a 329 card, and so it means he was hitting about 60 points below his card, and that level of disappointment. There were a bunch of guys doing better than him at the break. That's why he was ignored. He does have 27 RBI, tied with Fisk. Fisk has had a nice start. He's hitting 307. Yeah, it's good to see the Red Sox balancing those RBIs between a couple guys. You got Yaz, Reggie Smith, Petrocelli, and Fisk. Kind of all in the same... You'd rather have that than have one guy carrying a team, in my experience doing this. Meanwhile, Baltimore. 17 and 18. They are hitting 236. I don't know how you can hit 236. I really don't. There's nobody on this team who hit 236. But they are. With a 3.51 ERA, which was once at 3. It's gone up by a half a run per game. Cuellar. 2-4. What a shame. 71. Yeah, ERA of 4.56. And history suggests his ERA did not get that bad until 75, 76 maybe. But it's that bad now. McNally has a losing record. Milpapas has not won a game. So Boog Powell, if you're wondering. Old Boog's 30 for 133. 226. That's not going to get it done. Bunbury, the Rookie of the Year. He's 24 for 99. 242. Not going to get it done. Really isn't going to get it done. The leading hitter in this team... Actually, Brooks Robinson's having a nice year. Which is a real shame. We know he's the MVP of the 1970 World Series. He's in 288. Leading the club in hitting. So they have no 300 hitter on this team. No guys in double-digit home runs on this team. And it's pretty sorry. When we look at the league year-to-date in 500 games, we're hitting 262 with a 385 ERA. We can plug in the results of the postseason here. And interestingly enough, check this out. I didn't do this. This was there last year. So in the first round of the postseason tournament last year, the Red Sox faced the Yankees and beat them 4-1 to go 20-9 year-to-date. So it's the exact same scenario, 4-1, but Boston's record's a little different this year. Let's look at it again, and it's 19 and 13. So we'll plug that in there. And Baltimore is 17 and 18. Wow. And when we look at the overall standings, all the first and second place teams have played in the American League. So here, Cleveland and Detroit are both in pretty good shape because the second place team's 3 over 500, even though the Tigers lost. Oakland's in great shape, and Boston's in great shape. Everybody else in the American League is kind of meh. Twins and White Sox just a game over 500. These are all losing teams. Can the Toronto Blue Jays, a fictional team that did not exist during this timeline, can they sneak into the playoffs as a wild card team? They currently have a 500 record, and they have to play the Yankees, and they're 2.5 ahead of the Yankees. So it's looking good for Toronto because the next phase of the postseason is these eliminations. Toronto is +2 tiebreaker over the Yankees. The Yankees are 2.5 back, which means the Yankees have to win 5 of 7 games. Can you believe that? They have to win 5 of 7 to just stay alive. Otherwise, they're eliminated. So that is great news for the Toronto Blue Jays, who are presently in second place. the wild card field. Let me see these now, just for the moment. You have Oakland at 1. You do have the Red Sox at 2 now, which means the Indians would be a 3. This will all change, of course. Twins at a 4, and then Detroit would be your 5. And the only other team with a winning record in the American League is the White Sox, would be your 6. And the Orioles are no more. They're still alive. The good news for Baltimore is they will play a team from the West. So depending on what happens with Toronto, if the Orioles are either 2nd or 3rd, they will play either the Seattle Mariners or Texas Rangers. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. Baltimore Orioles. So again, I mentioned the Pirates. They will play soon in an elimination series against the Cubs. They have to win that or they're toast. Pirates were my preseason National League World Series pick. Just not happening, folks. Just not happening. That's it tonight. Stunning result. The Red Sox pound the Orioles 4-1. Hope you're enjoying the Carryover League. We'll see you next time.